Welcome you back into the Pioneer Postgame Report, where the Pioneers fall to the Wingate Bulldogs here tonight, opening up conference play 27-10, joined by Pioneer coach Jerry Odom. And I know it's a frustrating game, and I think the story of this game, field position. I think your defense stood on their head as much as they could, but again, they just kind of leaned on you. And when you're starting on your end of the field and kind of getting the field flipped on you a couple of times, it's tough. We talked about it going the long way, but they went the short way today.
Yeah, well, I mean, we 3-and-outed them after the first play of the game when we turned the ball over and they kick a field goal, and then they had a punt return, got it down to the 20, and they scored on that one on a corner route on third down. We thought we had, just a good throw and catch by them, yeah. And then, really, that was it. I mean, they returned the errant pitch for a touchdown, and we're beat up in the O-line when a couple of those guys went out and couldn't play. That really hurt us. Tay getting hurt really hurt us bad. And then, I give Trey all the credit in the world. He battled his butt off tonight, and, the receivers did too. We're thin up there right now. And we just got to find different ways to move it around, and their D-line got after us. They're great, and give them all the credit in the world. But I'm not disappointed in our guys other than the mistakes, right? The silly mistakes I was more disappointed with that, I think, than the play. We fought, we battled, and we just didn't make enough plays. And then when you have to, off those sacks, when you get 12 sacks, it's hard to win a football game.
Yeah, that's kind of the story, though. That's kind of where I was going to go. Hey, I knew the offensive line was beaten up. We didn't have the rushing yardage, so it's almost as if the Bulldogs said, hey, we're pinning our ears back, Here we come.
Well, and that's what happened is we couldn't run the football when we got a couple of those guys hurt, and they just pinned it, like you said, and we felt like, hey, maybe going empty and running option routes was the best, and it was. We were moving the ball when we could block them at all. We were moving the ball. We just got to get a couple of those guys in better shape. Big boys, been out a couple weeks, so he's got to get in better shape. TK and we got a guy that just got back in there today, and then Ben's really only been back for a week of practice. So we've had a lot of these dudes out, and we've been fortunate that we hadn't played a D-line like this, and they got after us. Give them all the credit, but I don't want to take away from how hard our guys played, because I felt like they played really hard. They competed. They didn't back down. When we were down, they kept fighting. That fumble was crazy because we had momentum. We go in and score right there. We're on the 25, 30-yard line. We go in and get a score right there, and we're right back in this football game. And that's where we've got to be better. We got to execute the little things better, and if we can get that done, then we'll be a better football team.
Yeah, no question that was the turning point of the game. To stay on the emphasis of guys that battle, we'll start with the defensive guys, because last year it's a team that went 14-18 in third downs, and you said, I got to scheme it a little bit better. Do you feel as if the guys didn't show Crocker a whole lot in this game, and it kind of confused him, because you guys were real good at moving him from the spot, which you weren't last year?
Yeah, they still were 5 of 14. It was better, obviously. We let him scramble one time, which we said we weren't going to do, so that wasn't good. But as a whole, like I said, we battled. We didn't play a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but I was proud of the kids that even when things were down, the chips were down, they never wavered, they never quit, they never thought about quitting, and they're a good football team. I said that coming in. They're not going to beat themselves. They got basically a graduate assistant at quarterback. A guy's been here as long as I have, and give them all the credit in the world. I'm not taking anything away from them. They're a physical football team. Our goal now has to be to get better, get healthy in the offensive line, have a better scheme, and then hopefully win the ones we got to win to get to play them again. Yeah. That's got to be the goal.
For Trey Simmons, again, not a kid that's, sophomore, a true sophomore in that, and a guy that didn't have a whole lot of starts under his belt. It was a slow first half, but he really turned it around that second half. You did run it on your touchdown drive, and I think that kind of got him some confidence. But when you get hit as many times as he got hit in the game, he wasn't skittish. No. He still stood in there in the pocket.
No, he's a tough kid now. Don't fool yourself. He was competing right there at the very end. He was ticked at that last sack because he felt like the guy did a little extracurricular to him or whatever. So he was competing, and I don't have a problem with that at all. The thing that we've got to keep him is just to keep his emotions, because he's a very fiery, emotional guy, and that's hard sometimes for a quarterback. It's like a linebacker. He'd be like me playing quarterback, which is not what you want. And at the end of the day, though, I got to give Trey credit. He kept standing in there. He kept battling, and, he took a lot of hits tonight. He's going to be a sore puppy in the morning, but he's a guy that's going to, he answered the bell.
Finally, it was hidden yardage. Again, you didn't have the penalty numbers. It wasn't that. It was that early in the football game, but you really corrected that in that second half. It was punt returns. It was no kickoff return yardage because, when they're kicking it through the end zone, you're not getting any yardage there. Right. And then it was interceptions and then fumble returns. So there's a lot of hidden yardage in this game that I think people are going to see. That kind of defense.
51 a kick. I mean, he's kicked 4 over 55. Yeah. Lordy mercy. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, we had him pinned back about 4 different times. With a regular punter, you're getting the ball on the 50-yard line, maybe 45-yard line. He flipped the field, and then we get a penalty early on it, and now all of a sudden we're on the 5-yard line. We're like, well, wait a minute. And those are the things that we have to grow as a team. I was not very happy, and we had a couple freshmen make freshman mistakes a little bit. But like I said, they could have just folded their tent, but they didn't, and like I said, the fumble return kind of broke her back a little bit because we really had momentum there and we were moving the football, and we can't make those mistakes in crunch time, right? Can't put the ball on the ground. I mean, you look at it, they won the turnover battle probably, and when they win the turnover battle and they win the hidden yardage battle, when you get 2 physical teams getting after it, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, you weren't able to turn them over today, and they do a good job at that. All right, but a chance to give you the same energy and go travel down to Catawba next Saturday and look for that first conference win.
Yeah, we got to figure, we're going to be beat all get out, I'm sure. We're very sore right now, I'm sure, because they're a physical football team, but we'll get healthy and we'll go down to Catawba and we'll compete again. I mean, the bottom line is I have nothing bad to say about my football team. They competed their butts off. The only issue I got on them about a little bit was, hey, don't worry about the refs, because they felt like the refs were, you can't do anything about the refs. Yeah. Let me deal with that. But other than that, they competed, and I can't ask for anything more.
Hey, unlucky today. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, man.
Pioneer coach Jerry Odom. The Pioneers fall to the Bulldogs 27-10. We're back with more of our Pioneer postgame after this on the Pioneer Sports Network.